Greetings and welcome once again, Darklings. This will be the first in my Gothic Tales series. I will simply be reading for you some Gothic works. Who knows where we might go and what we might explore. I've selected a rather short story for today, and I don't know how frequently I'll do these or how long the readings may be, but if you have any feedback on what you would like, or any particular stories you would like read, please feel free to mention so in the comments. And let's open up our book here from the Complete Tales of Edgar Allan Poe. Well, Tales and Poems. Today we'll be reading from the Duc de l'Omelette. Pardon my French is a bit terrible. And stepped at once into a cooler clime, Cowper. Keats fell by criticism. Who was it died of the Andromache? Ignoble souls, de l'Omelette perished of an ortolan. L'histoire inceste breve. Assist me, spirit of Aspicus. A golden cage bore the little winged wanderer, enamored, melting, indolent, to the Chaussée d'Antin. From it home in far Peru. From it queenly possessor La Bellissima, to the Duc l'Omelette. 6 peers of the Golden Empire conveyed the happy bird. That night the Duke was to sup alone. In the privacy of his bureau he reclined languidly on that ottoman, for which he sacrificed his loyalty in outbidding his king, the notorious Ottoman of Cadet, or Cadet. He buries his face in the pillow. The clock strikes, unable to restrain his feelings. His grace swallows an olive. At this moment the door gently opens to the sound of soft music, and lo, the most delicate of birds is before the most enamored of men. But what inexpressible dismay now overshadows the countenance of the Duke? Horror! Shin! Bebdis, c'est le plume, et que tu as servi sans papier. It is superfluous to say more. The Duke expired in a paroxysm of disgust. Ha 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 ha, said his Grace on the 3rd day after his decease. He he he, replied the devil, faintly drawing himself up with an air of hauteur. Why, surely you are not serious, retorted Duc de l'Omelette. I have sinned, c'est vrai. But, my good sir, consider, you have no actual intention of putting such a barbarous threats into execution. No, what? Said his Majesty. Come, sir, strip. Strip indeed. Very pretty, faith. No, sir, I shall not strip. Who are you, pray, that I, Duc de l'Omelette, Prince de Foie Gras, just come of age, author of the Mazurkade, the member of the Academy, should divest myself at your bidding of the sweetest pantaloons ever made by Bourdon, the daintiest robe de chambre ever put together by Rambert, to say nothing of the taking my hair out of paper, not to mention the trouble I should have in drawing off my gloves. Who am I? Ah, true, I am Beelzebub, Prince of the Fly. I took thee just now from a rosewood coffin inlaid with ivory. Thou wast curiously scented and labelled as purring voice, Belial sent thee, my inspector of cemeteries. The pantaloons which thou sayest were made by Bourdon are an excellent pair of linen drawers, and thy robe de chambre is a shroud of no scanty dimensions. Sir, replied the Duke, I am not to be insulted with impunity, sir. I shall take the earliest opportunity of avenging this insult. Sir, you shall hear from me. In the meantime, au revoir. And the Duke was bowing himself out of the satanic presence when he was interrupted and brought back by the gentleman in waiting. Hereupon his Grace rubbed his eyes, yawned, shrugged his shoulders, reflected. Having become satisfied of his identity, he took a bird's-eye view of his whereabouts. The apartment was superb. Even de l'Omelette pronounced it bien comme il faut. It was not its length nor its breadth, but its height. Ah, that was appalling. There was no ceiling, certainly none, but a dense whirling mass of fiery-colored clouds. His Grace's brain reeled as he glanced upward. From above hung a chain of an unknown blood-red metal, its upper end lost, like the city of Boston, parmi les sonnues. Sorry, again, my French is terrible. From its nether extremity swung a large cresset. The Duke knew it to be a ruby, but from it there poured a light so intense, so still, so terrible. Parisia never worshipped such. Geber never imagined such. Musulman never dreamed of such. When drugged with opium, he has tottered to a bed of poppies, his back to the flowers, and his face to the god Apollo. The Duke muttered a slight oath, decidedly approbatory. The corners of the room were rounded into niches. 3 of these were filled with statues of gigantic proportions. Their beauty was Grecian, their deformity Egyptian, their tout ensemble French. Taut, I believe. In the 4th niche, the statue was veiled. It was not colossal. But then there was a taper ankle, a sandaled foot. De l'Omelette pressed his hand upon his heart, closed his eyes, raised them, and caught his satanic majesty in a blush. But the paintings, Cuprus, Astarte, Astoreth, 1,000 and the same, and Raphael has beheld them. Yes, Raphael has been here, for did he not paint the, and was he not consequently damned? The paintings, O luxury, O love, who gazing on those forbidden beauties shall have eyes for the dainty devices of the golden frames that besprinkled like stars the hyacinth and the porphyry of walls? But the Duke's heart is fainting within him. He is not, however, as you suppose, dizzy with magnificence, nor drunk with the ecstatic breath of those innumerable censers. C'est vrai que de toutes ces choses il a pense beaucoup mais. The Duc de l'Omelette is terror-stricken, for through the lurid vista with which a single uncurtained window is affording, lo, gleams the most ghastly of all fires. Le pauvre Duc, he could not help imagining that the glorious, the voluptuous, the never-dying melodies which pervaded that hall as they passed, filtered and transmuted through the alchemy of the enchanted window panes, were the wailings and the howlings of the hopeless and the damned. And there, too, there, upon the ottoman, who could he be? He, the petit maitre, no, the deity who sat as if carved in marble, et qui sorit, with his pale countenance si amerriment. Mais il faut agir, that is to say, a Frenchman never faints outright. Besides, his grace hated a scene. De l'omelette is himself again. There were some foils upon a table, some points also. The Duke had studied under B. Il avait tous ses 6 hommes. Now, then, il peut s'escaper. He measures 2 points, and, with a grace inimitable, offers his Majesty the choice. Horror! His Majesty does not fence, mais il joue. How happy a thought! But his Grace had always an excellent memory. He had dipped in the Diable of Abbé Gautier. Therein it is said que le diable n'ose pas refuser un jet d'écarté. But the chances, true, desperate, but scarcely more desperate than the Duke. Besides, was he not in the secret? Had he not skimmed over Père Lebrun? Was he not a member of the Club Vingt-un? Si je perdais, said he, je serai 12 fois perdu. I shall be doubly damned. Voilà ta. Here his Grace shrugged his shoulders. Si je gagne, je reviendrai à mes ortolans, que les cartes solant préparées. His Grace was all care, all attention, his Majesty all confidence. A spectator would have thought of Francis and Charles. His Grace thought of his game. His Majesty did not think. He shuffled. The Duke cut. The cards were dealt. The trump is turned. It is the King. No, it was the Queen. His Majesty cursed her masculine habiliments. De l'Omelette placed his hand upon his heart. They play, the Duke counts. The hand is out. His Majesty counts heavily, smiles, and is taking wine. The Duke slips a card. C'est à vous à faire, said his Majesty, cutting. His Grace bowed, dealt, and arose from the table. In presentant le roi, his Majesty looked chagrined. Had Alexander not been Alexander, he would have been Diogenes, and the Duke assured his antagonist in taking leave, que s'il n'est et de l'omelette, il n'aurait point d'objection d'être le diablo. And that is our tale for today. Thank you for joining me, and blessed be.